Okay, it's been so long, and I'm really embarrassed that it's been so long. I also embarrassed how bad the lighting's going to be in this video, and it might even be really crappy quality because I have to see myself while I film this, and I'm using my phone. So we're doing front-facing camera, and just to catch up. So, how have you been? I've been crazy. Lots of different things have gone on since I've really just chatted about what life was happening. I know most of the people that watch my videos already know me personally. I want to be open to anybody that doesn't know me though, so that's why I talk the way I talk on these videos. But I guess I'll just start with saying thanks for popping on my little corner of YouTube. And bear with me because this is going to be kind of emotional and kind of bearing all in a way. My hair's crazy. Just to start, I am currently 26 weeks pregnant. This is my 4th pregnancy, and I wanted to talk about being pregnant after loss, having loss of pregnancy, and talking about my experience with that because I've touched on it a lot through social media, on Instagram and Facebook, but I've never actually sat down and filmed myself talking about it. It's always been through text, typing it out, writing it out, whatever. And I think it would be much more powerful if I talked about it here. So just a brief background, I'm going to be 26 this year. And I had my first pregnancy in 2018, and I didn't have much connection with that pregnancy because I didn't know I was until I saw what looked like passing of some fetal tissues. And the likelihood of how far along I was, I have no real clue. At the time I was very stressed, working a lot. My periods were really irregular, and I wasn't expecting that at all. I gained a lot of weight that time frame between, I thought it was just from work and being stressed, but I'm pretty sure that was some signs of baby weight. And that miscarriage was really hard on me because I didn't know how to feel about it. I didn't want to feel about it, and I didn't like how I was feeling about it. I reacted to that with flushing it down the toilet, and I regret that deeply now, and I didn't really talk to many people about it. The one person that I confided in the few moments afterwards, I wasn't well received by them, and the things that they told me were very hurtful. I look back at that now and see that that was a very toxic relationship, friendship that I had. So that kind of messed with me a little bit, and I didn't really want to tell anybody else. At the time, I also wasn't married. Me and my now husband were living in ways that most people that we know wouldn't appreciate or think were wise, and maybe not, maybe they were, but we're here now. I did tell a close friend, and then she was the best about that, and she grieved that loss with me, even if my grievance of it was not what I thought it should be. So that was really good that she held that space for me. And my now husband, then boyfriend, he did the best he could with that and just held me and loved me through it. But he didn't have much connection with that either, because all we knew was the moments that we had of, wow, okay, this just happened. I never took a pregnancy test, so I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty positive that that's what that was. So that was my first miscarriage. I didn't tell many people about that until about a year later. Now, I am very thankful for that experience because I don't know, I'm different because of it, and I'm thankful for it. But after that, lived life, didn't think I could probably get pregnant again, but I totally got pregnant on accident, and that was my son, Xavier. Got pregnant with him in later 2019 in the fall. And that was really scary because I was just on the edge of my seat expecting it to not stick or it to not last. And then I had HG and I was really sick all the time, and I was scared that I was gonna die, and just a lot of traumatic emotions. But one of the coolest parts of when I was pregnant with Xavier was he and his energy centered me, and I felt connected with him, and that we were working together to get our lives together, my life really. But I don't know, his energy was very calming, grounding, and gave me purpose, and that was really, really awesome. I'm so thankful for that. But that was really hard being pregnant after that first loss, because I didn't really know how to feel. I still don't really know how to feel about that. But having that in the back of my mind and having to process that through pregnancy, I didn't do as good of a job with that as I feel like I probably should have devoted more time to that. But just, we do the best with what we can at the time. And at the time, me and my husband were planning on getting married and trying to find a place, and just a lot of whirlwind decisions and hard decisions and scary decisions were being made. So it was just a lot. So I'm trying to give myself grace with that, but that was something that I kind of wish that I had put more effort and time into, was really working on those inner demons of sort about being afraid with my loss previously, and then possibly losing Xavier at the time. I didn't know what I was having. I have talked about previously that I didn't feel comfortable with doing ultrasounds or like blood work or anything. I didn't want to be told bad news, but that also meant being kind of like in the dark. And some people will think that that was very irresponsible. Some people will think that that was super brave. Some people will think that that's crazy, but that's what I had to do in that pregnancy. I think that was the best thing I could have done, honestly, because I was not in a good headspace to handle any bad news and then have to just sit with it for so long. So those were the choices I made, and that's one of the things that impacted me from having a previous loss. Was I didn't want to know a lot about my pregnancy. I just wanted to feel what I had to feel and experience it as it went and as it came, and just be one with my baby, and that was awesome. From there, we were just taking life one day at a time. I never announced it on YouTube, but we were pregnant in May of 2021. I found out in June of 2021. I told my husband on Father's Day, which was the day after our son's birthday. And we didn't not plan that pregnancy, but we didn't, like, you know, it was kind of like, let's see if we can do it. Let's see, this is my fertile window, go for it, see what happens. And I got pregnant, and that was wild. And I felt so much relief, and I felt like I wasn't broken from finding out that experience, or finding out that I was pregnant that time. I had this belief that after the first miscarriage, that Xavier was like this miracle baby, and it was internalized, and I probably should have gotten therapy, but like, I thought I wasn't going to be able to have any more babies for the reasons that I thought. It was a surprise that we got pregnant with Xavier. It wasn't as if we were trying really hard to get pregnant in between my first pregnancy and Xavier, because we weren't married, and it wasn't really a good decision, but we weren't careful. And the fact that I hadn't gotten pregnant was like, I was like, well, I'm probably just broken. And that was not good for me to think that, but that's just how I thought. But when I got pregnant with our baby in May of 2021, I'm going to go ahead and give that baby a nickname, Baby E. We did name that baby, but I totally felt like I wasn't broken anymore, and I was so empowered, and I was excited, and Aaron was excited, and we went and did photos to announce. I told people pretty early. I didn't feel afraid with that baby like I did with Xavier. I didn't have any morning sickness. I didn't have much any symptoms aside from like being a little bit extra tired, and I was having a little bit of migraines here and there, but I felt great. And I was like, yeah, I've arrived. This is going to be the best pregnancy ever. And I felt so like, it's hard to explain, but like water energies with that baby. That baby would have been a Pisces baby. Part of the reason I'm filming this now is because I would have had that baby around now, February of 2022. But in July, we went on a vacation and I felt great. I was telling people that we were pregnant and that our kids were going to be 2 under 2, and that was super fun and kind of like daunting to say, but it was exciting and we were both like stoked. I was even showing a little bit. And on the drive back we went all the way to Washington from Vegas we went from Vegas to Seattle in Washington and then drove back down. On the night that we came back into Vegas, I started bleeding, and it wasn't just spotting, it was a lot. And I had some spotting. I guess I should have said this with the symptom thing, but I'm going to be all over the place in this video. Hopefully it's not so cringy to watch and it's understandable, but so I had some spotting, and I assumed it was just like implantation bleeding because it looked kind of brown, not so like bright red at the time. It was in the early weeks, and it stopped, and I thought, okay, cool, moved on from that. I had hired a midwife. We hadn't like done anything really because we were about to go on vacation when I hired her. But she told me like, hey, some ladies, they just bleed throughout their whole pregnancy. If you're not terribly concerned, I'm not terribly concerned. And I was not concerned about it. But when we drove back in to Vegas in July, I had bright red blood. And I had some pain, but it wasn't anything remarkable. It was just cramping kind of. But I was concerned then. I was immediately concerned, and I was all up in my head and in my emotions and like feeling like I should have seen the signs, like I wasn't really having any pregnancy symptoms, so duh was how I was in my head. I just prayed a lot, and I cried a lot, and I talked to Aaron, my husband, about it, and he was concerned. Held Xavier tight and just kind of waited to see what happened. And I was in contact with my midwife. I was in contact with my mom and a few of my friends, but I kind of knew that that wasn't good, and probably no good was going to come of that. The next day was really hard because it felt so long. I had my mom come over and she was going to help with Xavier, but the second that she walked in the door, I had passed the baby, and I had a lot of pain in like the hour before that happened, and I didn't realize that that's what that was. I thought I was just freaking out a little bit, but that was really hard. I compare that now to labor, and I compare that now to giving birth and how that can feel, and the comparisons between giving birth to Xavier and how that was hard, and then giving birth, miscarrying this baby, and how that felt. I still don't like it. It's a hard just like realization and emotional just like tug that when I was in labor with Xavier, we were working together, even though I had a cervical lip and it was like I felt resistance and stuff. We were working together, and then with baby E, it was just so much pain, and it just felt like my body was just like, is like throwing up, basically. That's the only other way I can describe it, and I'm sorry if that's disturbing and graphic, but that's how the type of cramping felt. It was very different, and it hurt really bad. More on my heart than physically, but I was like kind of just in shock and freaking out about the whole situation and what I was feeling and why I was in pain, and wishing that I wasn't in pain and just praying that things would be okay. And when I went to the bathroom to change my pad, the baby and most of the placenta was just sitting there. And my mom had just walked in through the door, and we just all cried, and it was really good that she was there, because I was freaking out and very sad, and I didn't want to like be extra sad for my husband's sake, because he was going through it too. It was really hard because I was trying to like feel everything and go through it, but I also didn't want to, and then I wanted to be strong, but thankfully my mom was there, so she was able to just hold me through it, and we were able to have a moment and just process it. When I miscarried baby E and they were out, it was like a strip of, more like a, kind of like a V shape of placenta, and then the umbilical cord to the entire amniotic sac, and it was like a little ball, and it was probably about the size of like a I'm not entirely sure how big, like that, about that big. And it was not like dense, but it you could feel, excuse me, it was like a balloon. And I did want to open it up, so I opened it up, and inside was our baby. I was about 10 weeks along at the time, but looking at the baby and judging from the development, it stopped developing around 7 weeks, 7.5 weeks or so. It looked pretty fine, other than it had obviously stopped growing. It was good to see that that baby was real. With the first miscarriage, I didn't have any real like baby shape to judge off. It was just placenta looking things and membranes and stuff. But that was actually really peaceful to see and to meet and to talk to and cry over. And I have pictures of that, and I've been able to share it with a few friends and midwives that I know. It's just really cool, I think, and I'm thankful that I had that experience too, because I was able to go on Indie Birth's website and look up miscarriage stories from around the same time frame. Some people had different experiences, but there was a couple that had very similar experiences as I did. And it was validating to read those stories, and comforting as well, even though it still sucks and it was still painful, and made me sad, because I don't want anyone to have to go through that. And I'm grateful that they were sharing their stories, and that's partially why I'm sharing mine, even though I'm not doing a very good job. But yeah, that was baby E's miscarriage birth situation. And a couple days later, I was still bleeding, and more of the placenta passed. I don't know why that baby didn't make it, and I will never know why that baby didn't make it. We're not necessarily supposed to know everything, and I have to be okay with that, with this specific situation. Some days I'm totally fine with everything and feel totally secure and okay, and other days it's creeping in the back of my mind and I get really upset. I have to work through that, and it's okay. The grieving process, I feel like, is never over. We only grow with our grief. We don't get over it. We don't move past it. There's good days and there's bad days. And other times I just happen to think about it and I get really sad. And that's okay. And there's no right way or wrong way to grieve, but that's how I feel about it. And I think that it's a healthier mindset than some of the ways that our loved ones, even if they mean well, push on us this concept of we need to move on and everything's fine now. And it's like, yeah, everything's always okay or fine, but that doesn't mean that you don't feel secure, you don't feel safe, you don't feel calm, you don't feel loved, you don't feel happy. And you can be thankful for something and still be going through a really hard time. And that is usually how I feel. I didn't get testing done or go to the hospital afterwards. I spoke with a midwife and she wasn't concerned about my health or anything. She just cared about my heart, and we prayed a lot and we talked a lot, and I'm so thankful for her. I just wanted to be left alone and with my husband and my son and my family and friends, and just process it and not have to be stuck on it in terms of trying to figure it out. Later, after about a week or two of like bleeding, not heavy bleeding the whole time, but just like a period, a little bit heavier than a normal period, and then just spotting for a while, I was able to get up and face the day and just work past all of those emotions. I went to a wedding shortly after that, and it was really fun. I dressed up cute and felt sexy and had a good time with my husband and danced and just had to be okay not be okay, but like in terms of who I was. I had to find me and not be hung up on, but I still want to be pregnant and I'm not. Like that thought, I needed to feel it for a minute, but not let it hold me back from having fun or smiling or experiencing new things. And that's what I did. And I had a period between that, and then the month after that I got pregnant again. And I had so many emotions about that. And my husband even, I didn't get to tell him all cute and announce it to him like I wanted to, like I did with baby E. I was on the toilet. I took an LH strip that morning, and it was 600% positive. If you ever take an ovulation strip and it's 600% positive according to your app, and it's like super dye stealer, odds are you're probably pregnant. So then I took a pregnancy test, and from the other room, my husband heard me cuss really loud and be angry and confused, and then trauma cope laugh afterwards. And he came in, he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Look." And we were both like dumbfounded, and he was happy. And then I was happy, but then confused and kind of scared and blown away, just all shook, truly shook. And I cried, and inside a lot of the times I was like I don't want to be ill-receiving of this baby and make this baby that's here right now feel like they're not loved or welcomed. But at the same time, I wanted that baby that I just had a couple months ago, and now I don't. And that was really hard. And I I still fight with that, but I'm thankful for this baby, and I want this baby. But I'll always want that other baby too. So that's really hard, but working through that, it's gotten a lot easier over the past couple months. But going through that and then being like, oh, but like, be excited for this. Don't get hung up on that. And it's okay to feel that way. It's valid. But personally, I didn't want to like hold on to that and wallow in it. So couldn't let myself do that. I asked my husband what he was feeling, and like, he was kind of nervous and didn't want to go through that again either. So I was like, okay, we have a few options what we could do. We could try progesterone cream. We could be super hardcore about like, don't ever try anything strenuous and eat really good and all the things. And so we kind of did that. I did progesterone cream for probably not even 2 weeks. It made me feel sicker. That was a really good sign too. Like, morning sickness hit me pretty fast. And just like with Xavier, I had it to the point of being HG and struggling with that. I'm 26 weeks now, and I still throw up every few days, at least once. But it's not affecting my weight, which is really good. But yeah, so we decided that we were going to do everything we could to hold on to that baby. And within the limits of my comfort when it comes to medicalized care. I don't go for ultrasounds. I don't go for blood work. I was debating doing blood work, but then I just kind of let it float away, and I feel fine about that. I was mainly concerned about the first trimester, and once we got past the first trimester, I was more able to connect with this baby and feel like what their energy was. And this is something I've been talking with my friends about lately, of like faith, the concept of faith. And in Christianity, faith is a virtue. It's something that you have to work at. You have your set of beliefs that are founded upon rational thinking or critical thinking or logical thinking. And then there's things like faith in the Christian sense of having to reframe your mind to do the things that honor your faith. And I've been comparing that concept to pregnancy a lot, because in the first trimester, at least if you're like me and you feel like garbage and everything about it kind of sucks, aside from being like, oh, eventually I'll get a baby out of this, you have to be mindful and intentional about taking care of yourself. And you have to be mindful and intentional about not wallowing in the negative of, I'm throwing up constantly and everything stinks. Sorry, I hit the mic. Everything smells bad, and everything that I think I want to eat, all of a sudden I don't want to eat it as I'm eating it, and I'm so weak and I'm so tired and I'm so just ready to not be in this time, this season, like where I'm at in my pregnancy. And doing that, sorry, I'm mouth breathing like a lot because I was crying and now I'm congested. So sorry. Going through that and having to remind myself and be thankful and have faith that it's worth it, that the hard work that you're putting in, even just through existing and just living while pregnant when you're super sick and have HG, that's worth it. And then I probably didn't explain that very well, but like going through that season and then coming into the second trimester, and then when you feel your baby kick for the first time, or you feel the quickenings and the spinning feelings in your stomach, and you're like, whoa, okay, there's a baby there for real. Oh my gosh. Getting from that first point of looking at the test and seeing 2 lines, and then feeling your baby move and being like, oh, okay, all that wasn't just for nothing. Sweet. That was a big testimony to just the blessing that it is. Like, I had somewhat ungrateful feelings that were valid, but they weren't grateful feelings in the beginning of, but I want that baby. I don't want this now. I wanted what I had. And I'm so thankful that God gave me kind of like a second chance in a way. And now that we've come this far, and we're 26 weeks now, I can tell you that we got a blood test for the gender. I didn't get any blood work, but just the blood test with the sneak peek test. We're having a girl, and that's super cool. And I've been able to connect with her as the energy that she gives me and how we kind of feed off of each other emotionally. And she seems like she's going to be a lot like me as far as reactive instead of, hey, it's okay, like voice of reason, where Xavier kind of is more of that. At least he was when I was pregnant with him. His baby's definitely more like, hey, what's going on? What are you doing? Oh, okay, yeah, me too. And that probably sounds really dumb, but we definitely have a different dynamic than I had with Xavier, and then even with baby E, and then with the first baby. It's super interesting, and I love it. I'm fascinated by it, the whole reflection of how different babies are, even just in your utero, and how that can even just change your life before the baby's even here. But they're here. They're just not topside, if that makes sense. So I do want to say, like, regrets. I don't like having regrets, but I know I have some. My main one with this baby right now is that I didn't tell people about her until, like, publicly. Like, I told some friends that were in my tribal circle, basically, and I told my parents and my siblings, but I didn't, like, announce it to the world until New Year's, which is ridiculous. I should have said something earlier. And I wanted to, like, film the progress of everything and be cool like other people are on YouTube and share their pregnancy journey, and I just didn't. And I'm sharing my emotional turmoil now through this, and it's probably going to be really confusing and all over the place. But I'm kind of butthurt by myself about that. I almost hastily and, like, pettily, spitefully, that's the word I'm looking for. I almost spitefully told my husband and family about being pregnant before I had told Aaron, cute, because everyone was giving me a hard time one day, and I was super, super angry, and I'm still salty about that. But I held on to be able to tell them in a cute way, and that was really nice, and I'm thankful I did that. But I had so many opportunities and moments that I, like, wanted to tell people with her, and I just didn't. And I feel like I did that because I was afraid of having to untell people, or feeling awkward that I got pregnant so soon, or people asking me if I did it on purpose, and I didn't do it on purpose. It was a total accident. And I don't like the stigma around a lot of people that, I'll just say it. I feel like Christianity, a lot of people have this idea that you shouldn't have babies on accident. And that might just be my own thought process. Like, no one's ever told me that that's a Christian thing. Just, I feel like people from Christian backgrounds tend to look down on you if you didn't do it on purpose, or like sex is only for getting pregnant or something. I don't know. I have this weird, it's weird. And if you agree or feel that too, then, like, cool. I'm glad I'm not the only one. But I'm under the impression that I might just be being sensitive. But I didn't want to have to, like, explain myself. And I didn't have to, even if I did tell people, but I like to talk, obviously. And I would have wanted to have a good explanation for them if they had asked. Yeah, I had opportunities to tell people, and I didn't. I held on until it got ridiculous. And I was like, I'm avoiding people because I look pregnant, and I should just tell people. And then we did, and it was fine and cute in the way I did it, and it's not a big deal. But I definitely feel a little bit like, why didn't I just get over myself and tell people? But to each their own. Do what you feel comfortable with, and let your baby be a blessing. Don't let it become a drama or a shame thing, or like, don't perpetuate that if you possibly can. If you can tell that you're doing it, like, stop and just try to enjoy as much as you can. And if you don't feel that way, then that's okay. That's still valid. But if you want to feel that way, you are totally within your rights to proclaim to the world that you're so excited. Like, you don't have to feel shamed. You don't have to feel like it's drama that you're bringing to the table. Like, being pregnant is not a drama thing. That's just a blessing. Anyway, I'm thankful that we did tell people about baby E when we did, because a huge part of that miscarriage journey was that I felt seen, and I felt like I wasn't the only one grieving that baby. Whereas with my first miscarriage, it kind of felt like I was like one of 3 people that even knew that they existed. And that was really sad. But with baby E, there was enough people in my life that are just awesome prayer warriors and awesome, sweet people that loved her a little bit too. They loved me enough to feel empathy and compassion towards me and my husband, and to love that baby just as a blessing that happened, and then God took back, and that's okay. But that was really cool that it's like, with my first miscarriage, it's almost like, did that even happen? Like, that, I don't even know, because it was so long ago now, and I feel the pain about it, but I don't have anything to like hold on to. Whereas with baby E, I have pictures, I have loved ones who remember, I have things that I bought for that baby, and I have memories that are attached to other people, and it's not just me. So I definitely encourage people to not be afraid to tell people, for the sake of those reasons that I already mentioned. I'm rambling now, but yeah, that's kind of how I've been feeling about that. For general update about just our life, we are currently in the midst of a super ridiculous, expensive Las Vegas housing market. We were thinking about trying to buy a house, and it didn't work out, and I'm very, very sad. I'm definitely focusing really hard on just trusting God that what we have in store is always better than what we try to plan ourselves. And that's always been true for us. Like, we wouldn't have planned Xavier, but we got Xavier. Wouldn't have planned this, and we got this experience. So I'm trying to use that as like motivation to keep working towards getting my own crap together and eating well to nourish this baby and feed my son well and feed my husband well, and just trying to build a home together. Wherever we're at, as long as we're together, we can build a home. It doesn't have to be perfect. If there's anything better out there that God has in store for us, hopefully it comes soon. But we might end up just having this next baby here and sticking through it until something better comes. And I probably need to eat something, because it's been a minute since I've been recording for like a while. So I think I'm gonna just go ahead and sign off, and this video is gonna be super rambly and chatty, and hopefully people get something out of it. And hopefully I don't seem like a crybaby or annoying as usual. I always worry about that. But I thank you very much if you got through it. And I thank you very much for listening and holding space for my story. And I hope that you don't have to go through the things that I did. But if you do, that you know that you're not alone. 1 in 4 women go through this, and so many people don't talk about it. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, even if it's not the best, concise way. I hope that you are encouraged, if you've been through this, to share your story as well. Happy 2022, since it's the first video I've actually made for this year, and I'm gonna say it like always, but I plan to make other videos still. I have a lot of ideas, I just don't get around to doing it. Having a toddler is hard to find time right now. He's napping for once and never. And I've been able to get my thoughts out and process this. I've been planning to do this for like ever, and I'm very thankful that it's worked out. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video in the future, or follow me on Instagram, Inked Green Free Mama, and you can catch up with us on there as well. Have a good day.